10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
He's back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Snap the ball, back to throw. Stroud, pressure, goes down, and that's going to do it. They are not going to be able to get up and run a play. Game over. Oregon has defeated Ohio State 35-28. Goosebumps.
Woo! That's what you like to see. That's what you like to hear. We start out Duck Insider today with an awesome call from Jerry Allen. The Ducks taking down Ohio State. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for being here with us. We are going to relive one of the best wins for Oregon football on the road ever. In fact, we'll have a little bit of the debate of just where this one ranks. Now, in the context of the entire season, it's the second win of the year for the Ducks. It's also just another game. And as Mario Cristobal said post-game, it's a 1-0 mentality. Now the Ducks have to, this week, go 1-0 against Stony Brook. We have some details on that coming up. A lot of questions about some injuries and the health of Oregon after this 35-28 win over Ohio State. We will get to all of that. I already see one coming in from Mike. I see a few others. I will do my best to keep up with your Facebook comments and questions, your YouTube comments and questions, Twitter comments and questions if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. We just heard from head coach Mario Cristobal. He wrapped up his weekly Monday press conference with the media, and we do have some updates for you. Kayvon Thibodeau, we'll see if he's able to go. Justin Flo out indefinitely. A lot of other questions about some other guys about this team. I think a lot of them we're kind of waiting and seeing as the week progresses. That's the latest from Mario Cristobal. One other, though, piece of just terrible news, man. Cam McCormick, he will be done for the year after that injury he sustained on that huge third down conversion. And, man, my heart goes out to Cam McCormick. This is the worst part of sports, and Cam has battled through so much. I just feel awful that he will miss the rest of this season. Just feel so bad for Cam McCormick. That's unfortunate. We do have a kickoff time for you for Oregon's Pac-12 Conference opener. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN at Autzen Stadium next Saturday, September 25th. That was announced today as part of the TV selection windows. And Oregon will play Stony Brook coming up at 4:30 on the Pac-12 Network, and, of course, a 2:30 pregame show for us on the Oregon Sports Network. That's coming up this Saturday. Before we relive Oregon-Ohio State, some updates for you. Game day protocols at Autzen Stadium. Looks like everything's going to pretty much be the same as it was for the opener against Fresno State heading into this week for the matchup with Stony Brook. One thing to keep in mind, we know that concessions were a long line and a long wait for you, doing everything we can to make that easier on everybody. But I will say, if you know anyone or if you're part of a group who wants to come and work concessions at Autzen Stadium, we're looking for you. We are looking for you because we need you. We're dealing with a labor shortage. That's part of why none of the or all of the concession stands couldn't be opened. So please, if you know anyone who wants to come work concessions at Autzen, a group who maybe from one of the high schools or something like that, something. If you need to come and work, and trust me, we need you. So get in touch with us here at the athletic department because we could use your help. We are following guidance still from Lane County Public Health, so please keep up to date on GoDucks.com. You can read through all of the different requirements like showing proof of vaccination or a negative test within the last 3 days, wearing a mask inside Autzen Stadium, all the things that we've been running through. We're still following guidance from Lane County Public Health. That's where this is coming from. This is not a University of Oregon athletic department thing. This is truly coming from public health experts. All right. Now, Oregon, Ohio State. Okay, so I have been doing a ton of different radio interviews, as you can imagine, with a bunch of different people across the country over the last few days. It's been a lot of fun, and one of the things that keeps coming up is everyone's asking me about the environment. Like, man, what was that environment like? Had to be so cool. I will tell you, I think that was the second loudest environment I've ever been in. When Ohio State really drummed it up on third down for the Ducks a couple different times, there have only been maybe a couple times where I have not been able to hear Jerry and Jorgie in my headset on the sideline. That almost happened this weekend. It's happened twice at Autzen Stadium previously. So I think the only environment that's louder than what the Ducks experienced this past Saturday was probably Autzen Stadium. Famously, I could not hear when Jerry Allen made the Ifo Ekpe-Olumu call of Ifo against Michigan State. I could not hear Jerry making that call because the crowd was so loud at the time. So that's just one example. Ducks, though, were a little bit shorthanded. No Kayvon Thibodeau. No Justin Flo. No Drew Mathis. And Dustin says Nebraska was loud. I will agree with that. I think Nebraska was probably the third loudest I've ever been in. I think Ohio State was a little bit bigger of an environment. So a little bit shorthanded. No Kayvon Thibodeau for this game. Ducks hope to have him back soon. No Justin Flo. That is indefinite according to Mario Cristobal today, and no Drew Mathis as he got banged up as well. But a great start for the Ducks defense. They forced a turnover on downs, and you're thinking, okay, here we go, defense. Huge play from Bennett Williams in the backfield. Bennett Williams, one of the team leaders in tackles. I thought that Bennett Williams had maybe the best game we've seen him have in an Oregon uniform with 8 total tackles. Mikael Wright was the only Duck who had more tackles, and you don't love seeing a cornerback lead your team in tackles. You don't love seeing one of your nickel guys like Bennett Williams leading your team in tackles, but that is also a testament to how good Ohio State's wide receivers were. Seeing Garrett Wilson and Mikael Wright duke it out, wide receiver versus cornerback, those are two guys that are going to be playing on Sundays. That was cool. That was a cool treat for everybody. Chris Olave as well. That receiver core for Ohio State is no joke. Well, not much for the Ducks on the first drive, but then they stopped Ohio State again. And the Buckeye punter just does his thing and puts it inside the 1. We saw 2 really, really good displays of punting the football early on from Tom Snee. And the Buckeye punter, who, I'll be honest, didn't write down his name in my notes, and I feel bad about that. But here we are on a Monday morning as I'm reading my notes that I made on the sideline. So no score after 1, and then this is that 99-play drive where I think everybody watching and listening kind of started to go, Oregon can move the ball against this Buckeye defense. Defense is playing pretty darn well for the Ducks. And C.J. Verdell scored on that Anthony Brown option. The balance on offense is what set it up. 99-yard drive. 99-yard drive for the Ducks. And I think everybody looking on was going, man, this is okay. This is going to be fun. Especially when the Ducks got another defensive stop. And then it was yet again another great punt to the 1 freaking yard line. And the Ducks would have to go 99 yards yet again. Well, they weren't able to do it. But this is where that moment happened, where I got to tell you, I was standing at the 15-yard line, and Ducks had to convert on a long third down, and they do it to Cam McCormick. And he went down, and I just, he tried to get up, then he went back down, and the first guy out there was Mario Cristobal. Just heartbreaking. And Cam McCormick, if you're just joining us, he will be done for the year. But it was just absolutely heartbreaking to see Cam go down like that. I saw his mom tweet something that I cannot say on the air, but it just pretty much summed up what he has gone through. And so, man, just thinking about that guy and seeing him post-game, not to jump ahead here, but just seeing him post-game. He was on crutches. Team runs over to celebrate with all the fans that made the trip to Columbus. And so many of his teammates made sure to come back over to him on the field and say, hey, this is for you too, man. Just my heart breaks for Cam. But if something like that's going to happen, Ducks ended up winning the game for him, I think. Ohio State did score on their next possession with some tempo. And look, admittedly, Oregon wasn't ready for it. Ducks were not ready for that tempo. Coach Cristobal did talk about that. We're going to hear from Mario Cristobal with his weekly press conference coming up in just a moment. But the Ducks got it to 14 when they went on a 4th and 1. Pitch to Verdell. He scored. It makes it 14-7. Huge play with 4:51 left before the half. And I'm thinking, okay, if you can get the ball back before the end of the half and you can go down and score, boy, that could be huge. And the Ducks had a chance. Anthony Brown converted on a 3rd down, truly giving up his body. That was another play where I went, okay, Ducks are in this, utilizing his legs. And if it wasn't for a holding call that, shall we say, I thought was a bit questionable. If it wasn't for that holding call on the big gain to Micah Pittman, I think Oregon would have maybe scored a touchdown, definitely would have had the opportunity to kick a field goal. But that was a big moment. I felt like if Oregon scored there, it might have been over. That's how confident I think Oregon was playing at the time. Miles says, yeah, holding call just before half was terrible. Yeah, so I'll be honest, I was at the other end of the field from where that took place because I was on the field while Jerry and Jorgie were calling it. And I thought, hell, I didn't see it. And then I did get a chance to see the replay, and I thought, oh, yeah. Either way, though, Ducks got the ball to start the second half. And holy cow. C.J. Verdell, 77-yard run. In fact, we're going to play the full game recap so that you can relive it a little bit. But, hey, how about the call of the game? Huh, Scott? You got that queued up? Can we hear the call of the game? Is that something that we can do? Because this was our Toyota call of the game was C.J. Verdell. If he doesn't have it, then you're just going to have to wait until the game recap to hear it. Scott, you tell me. Oh, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. Okay, so C.J. Verdell, though, this is my point on C.J. And I said this heading into the game, right? How many times have we seen the Ducks turn to C.J. Verdell and turn to the run game in a big game when they need a huge play? Well, God, did they do that in this game, and God, did he execute here to start the second half.
And Brown wants the snap, has got it. Give it to Verdell. Busted up the middle. Here we go. Has he got the speed? 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Touchdown! C.J. Verdell! Yes! He's got the speed!
Oh, good stuff from Jerry Allen. He does have the speed. 77 yards, though, for C.J. Verdell. That made it 21-7. And again, if the Ducks had been able to even just kick a field goal, it would have been 24-7 if it wasn't for that holding call. Man, at that point, it's like, all right, okay, Ducks are controlling the game. But then the passing game started to get going for Ohio State, as we all saw. I think that Tim DeRuyter would tell you that the Ducks probably gave up too many passing yards, but man, did they have to battle. Guys were going down. They had to rotate guys in, rotate guys in, rotate guys in. And they held it. But Ohio State did answer to make it 21-14. Oregon marched right back down the field. And this time it was Travis Dye who scored around the edge. Ohio State 3 times gave up that play to the edge. They could not contain the edge. They could not hold the edge. Ducks took advantage. It's 28-14. Buckeyes went on a 4th and 2 at the 8 next drive. Incomplete in the end zone. Next thing you know, it's the Ducks' ball. And it's like, okay, you could put them away here. Unfortunately, they couldn't, and we all had to grow some gray hairs and start pulling hair a little bit as I was sweating on the sideline, figuratively and literally. Oregon didn't score, though, and that was when the crowd really started to get into it because the Buckeyes got it back. Again, with the passing game, they marched down and scored with 12:54 to go. Ducks drove down. The play action to Maliki Matavao to score his first touchdown as a Duck was really what sealed it. I think that if Oregon doesn't score there, we might be having a different conversation today. And the play action game was so effective for Oregon throughout the course of this game. Buckeyes did drive and score again, 35-28. They protected the quarterback really well. And they went on a 4th and 5 at the 14. They were 2 of 5 converting on 4th downs, Ohio State was. Ducks, though, did have to punt. Buckeye crowd really, really got into it. Forced a false start. Couldn't move the ball. And then you know what? it seemed fitting that the defense would have to make a stop. And they did, even though Noah Sewell got dinged up on that play. And I think we were all at that point just going like, what else is going to happen? I mean, it was just one of those games where guys are getting beat up. It's a physical football game. Losing linebackers left and right. But fortunately for the Ducks, Noah Sewell was able to come back. It was the Buckeyes' ball with less than 5 seconds left after Oregon elected, and I thought a lot of people would be wondering about this, Oregon elected to punt. They put the ball back in their special teams and defense's hands. They elected to punt as the waning seconds were winding down. Ducks had to hold the lead and did. Verone McKinley picked it at the sideline. That was game winner. And Verone McKinley even said post-game, he's like, man, I've dreamed about having moments like that. And it was a huge, huge moment. Oregon drove. That was when that punt came on that short fourth. They held it with a sack. And, of course, the two-way stud in DJ Johnson comes in to make the sack. So, okay, back up for me here. DJ comes in as a highly recruited defensive end. Ducks with a lot of depth there, and they think, DJ, we think that your athleticism could really help out as a tight end. He makes the change. Well, then this week, or last week I should say, he does both. Gets a tight end, couple plays at tight end that were really effective, and then he's going to get remembered for being in there to get that sack. Flashbacks to Charles Nelson, the two-way star for the Ducks at the time, who was scoring touchdowns and playing safety. Just DJ Johnson, that's incredible. Incredible. A couple other shout-outs. I thought Braden Swinson played exceptionally well. Verone McKinley was all over the field. How about Dawson Jaramillo holding it down at left tackle a few times for the Ducks as well on some scoring plays? Dawson was in there, and man, did these guys battle. We've got some awards coming out from the Pac-12 Conference. Let's relive it, though. Jerry and Jorgie on the call. Our game recap of Oregon taking down Ohio State to move to 2-0.
And the snap, and give it to Verdell going left. There's nobody out there. He's going to score, and he does. Touchdown, Oregon. Verdell had Ryan walk, and Ryan Walk had nobody to block. Verdell on 4th and a yard beside Anthony Brown. Snap, pitch it to Verdell going left. He may score again, and he will! Touchdown, Oregon! That's the same play they ran for the score from Verdell the first time. And Brown wants the snap, has got it. Give it to Verdell, busted up the middle. Here we go! Has he got the speed? 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, touchdown! C.J. Verdell! Yes! He's got the speed. And here's the give to Dye, who strolls like it's a Sunday afternoon into the end zone. DJ Johnson in motion across the formation. Give it to Verdell. No, it's going to be a throw. Wide open. Touchdown, Oregon. In the end zone. Nobody near Maliki Matavao. And he scores his first touchdown for Oregon as a freshman. Snap, back to throw. With time. Pressure comes. Trying to run away from it. Now we'll just dump a short pass. It's intercepted. It is intercepted. Verone McKinley with a pick at the 37-yard line and then out of bounds. Snap the ball, back to throw. Stroud, pressure, goes down. And that's going to do it. They are not going to be able to get up and run a play. Game over. Oregon has defeated Ohio State 35-28. Goosebumps.
Game recap, Oregon over Ohio State. A fired-up Mario Cristobal did go to celebrate with the fans. Those of you who made the trip to Columbus, thanks for doing it. I heard a few Go Ducks chants throughout the game. It was an awesome experience. I'm glad that Oregon was able to get that win. We've got some post-game notes for you. We're also going to hear from Mario Cristobal, his weekly press conference. That is all still to come. Stick with us. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. More after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/one small step. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. If you're just joining us, the Ducks hoping to have Kayvon Thibodeau back. Justin Flo will be out indefinitely, as Coach Cristobal called it, a pretty significant injury. And Mace Funa, we're going to see what happens. Keith Brown, Coach said, had a cramp, hoping that everything else is okay. But the guys got dinged up. There's no doubt about it. The injury report, I think, later on in the week, you're going to hear more from Coach Cristobal on that front. And then Cam McCormick, your heart just breaks for a guy who's been through so much. Really hope that he's able to work his way back, and I would love to see him back on the field for the Ducks, as he will be out for the season. Coach Cristobal announced that. It's just, God, your heart just breaks for a guy like that. Continuing with some of the notes from the 35-28 win over Ohio State, now we get ready for a 4:30 kickoff on Saturday against Stony Brook. Anthony Brown, 17 for 35, 236 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. C.J. Verdell, 20 carries, 161 yards, and 2 scores. Anthony Brown also ran 10 times for 65 yards. Travis Dye, 8 carries for 43. And then in the receiving game, how about this? The most receiving yards for an individual, C.J. Verdell. It was actually on one of those, really it was a run for a touchdown. It was a pitch from Anthony Brown. That was one of the longest plays for the Ducks in terms of a passing play, because it was a 20-yarder. Spencer Webb had a 30-yarder. Chris Hudson had his 130-yarder. But the Ducks were really balanced offensively. They didn't have any huge passing plays downfield, but distributed the ball really, really well. Impressive. 505 total yards for the Ducks, 612 total yards for Ohio State. 612 total yards for Ohio State, and they scored 28 points. Football's a weird game sometimes, man. Weird game. Elsewhere for the Ducks, Tom Snee, I thought, was a big asset. 301 total yards on Saturday for Anthony Brown. He now leads the Pac-12 in total offense with 264.5 yards per game. His 59 attempts are also the most by a conference quarterback who has yet to throw an interception. So you talk about taking care of the football, managing the game, and making plays. That's what Anthony Brown has been doing for the Ducks. C.J. Verdell also now leads the conference in rushing per game and has the most carries, and it's actually not close. I think this is a springboard type of game for the Ducks. Beat Ohio State for the first time in program history, knocked off a top 3 team for the 6th time in school history, and the first time since 2011. Remember when the Ducks were at Stanford back in 2011, November 12th of 2011, and the first road win over a top 5 team since the Ducks beat Stanford in that same 2011 season. Beat a top 5 team for the 9th time in program history and snapped Ohio State's 23-game home winning streak, which, by the way, was one of the winning streaks that was up there with the Ducks' own home winning streak, which is pretty impressive. 13-0 for the Ducks when rushing for at least 200 yards under head coach Mario Cristobal, and they're now 16-2 under Cristobal when winning the turnover battle. Huge indication of if you're going to win the game. You win that turnover battle. And 3 more true freshmen saw playing time for the Ducks, bringing the total to 27 that have gotten in through 2 games, including 12 true freshmen. And that crowd of 100,482 people is the 4th largest that Oregon has played in front of in program history. How about that? And the Ducks did well. Did really well. It was also the first loss for Ohio State head coach Ryan Day in the regular season. And the Ducks did that. Ran for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns on 38 attempts. That's 7.1 yards per carry against Ohio State. Pretty darn good, huh? And the Ducks also came up with 3 huge 4th down stops, holding the Buckeyes to 2 for 5. Also held Ohio State to 6 for 15 on 3rd down, the defense did. And 2 players got their first career starts in Keith Brown and Braden Swinson, of course, filling in for some of those injured Ducks. And that's now 4 players on defense who have made their starting debuts this season. Braden Swinson is also now leading the conference, actually, in sacks. He's just making plays when he needs to. So the Ducks now will, of course, turn their attention to Stony Brook, and they're going to do it with a top 4 ranking in both the Associated Press and USA Today AFCA coaches polls. Those were announced yesterday morning. Ducks were among the biggest risers in the AP poll. They jumped up 8 spots from number 12 and 7 spots in the coaches poll. So the Ducks will be number 4 in the country. Now, and if you're the Ducks, take care of business. Go 1-0 every week. I think you're going to like what the results are at the end of the season. A lot of awards rolling in, as you can imagine, for the Ducks after this truly historic win. C.J. Verdell has been named the Offensive Player of the Week from the Pac-12 Conference. Alex Forsyth, the Offensive Lineman of the Week, and that's after Ryan Walk was actually named a Player of the Game by the Duck team themselves. You'll hear about that from Mario Cristobal coming up in just a moment. But Alex Forsyth recognized by the Pac-12 Conference. Impressive stuff for the Westland native. And Braden Swinson, the defensive end for the Ducks. Critical sack in that 35-28 win. He has been named the Defensive Lineman of the Week by the Pac-12 Conference. Pretty darn cool as the Ducks, the awards start to roll in. And now for the Stony Brook contest coming up, 4:30 again, the kickoff on Saturday. And then the following Saturday, we now know that it'll be a 7:30 kickoff on ESPN for the Ducks taking on Arizona in the Pac-12 Conference opener. Again, we're following all of the guidance from Lane County Public Health and the directives that they have given for us to be able to go to Autzen Stadium. Vaccination proof or a negative test within the last 3 days must be provided at the gate to enter Autzen Stadium on Saturday for that 4:30 kickoff. And I believe the bowl will be opening at 2:30 and the parking lots will be opening at 12:30 for this matchup with Stony Brook. All the details, including the full game day timeline, will be available at GoDucks.com. I did see a question about the Mashofsky Center. I do not think the Mashofsky Center will be open this week. The Mashofsky Center will not be open this week again. And again, if you're someone who's wondering about concessions and why the lines have been long, we actually can't open all the concessions booth because of a labor shortage. If you know of, if you're part of a group that would like to work concessions at Autzen Stadium, get in touch with the athletic department because we need you. And that will help us cut down on those long waits at the concession lines. There is no doubt about it. All right, I'll be honest. I have tried to follow the comments, and maybe Scott has done a better job than me, but I really have lost track. There's been so many. So thanks for the interaction today. I'm going to spend the break trying to catch up because when we return, Mario Cristobal and his weekly press conference, that's next. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long.
Nope, sorry, Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can step, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can step, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. I think I caught up on everything you guys were saying in the comments. Thanks for the interaction. I think we've answered all those questions. I did see one. Trevin Maai was a guy that I did not mention as part of the run-through of the injuries. Coach Cristobal talking about that. The Ducks, look, with where they are right now, everybody's going to be a little bit dinged up. Later on in the week, though, you'll have a better idea of the availability of the majority of the players heading into this matchup with Stony Brook. And I will say, and Coach is going to allude to this a little bit when asked about Justin Flo. Look, I know there were a lot of rumors swirling. We were getting asked on the show pretty much every day at some point yesterday, or last week, I should say, with Justin Flo. Fans, I would just say, like, coaches will answer questions about injuries. But I also just, to break the fourth wall here and let you inside broadcaster when, I work for the team. I don't want to say if anybody's hurt because then the other team's going to know if someone's hurt. Right? I mean, just like, so I'm saying it that way. The way Coach is about to say it, as you will hear, is it's not really advantageous for us to say some of these things heading into a game. So I totally get it. Everybody wants to know what's going on. But sometimes we're probably just not going to say. And also I will say injuries are the worst part of sports. Cam McCormick in particular, my heart just goes out to him and everything that he's had to deal with. And now there's a number of Ducks that are going to have to fight through a little bit of that adversity. Well, good stuff. Mario Cristobal, his weekly press conference. That's how we're going to spend the second half of today's show, hearing from head coach Mario Cristobal.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank you for being here today. I want to start off by thanking all the fans that were there in person in Columbus this past weekend, because they were incredible. Tremendous boost. We felt their energy, really thank them being out there, their belief, their support, also around the entire country. We felt it. We felt it. Everyone back here in Eugene, the state of Oregon, even got all kinds of messages from places in New York City, just really supporting the Ducks. So really thankful for that. And then again, really appreciative of our players going out there with a tremendous amount of energy and focus and making our practice preparation a game reality, and how they just kept coming and coming and coming until we got the result that we wanted in a want-to-know process. And it's a really hard-fought game. Credit to Ohio State, as mentioned before. And then with practice yesterday, tended to a couple of injuries. Obviously, you guys saw Cam McCormick was injured. Cam did sustain a good, pretty significant leg injury, and he'll be out for the season. It's his other leg. So aside from that, a bunch of guys nicked up, but football stuff happens. So, but with that being said, questions.
Coach, Chris Hudson continued to get a ton of reps on Saturday. Is it fair to say that at this point he's surpassed Troy Franklin on the depth chart? Well,
he entered the game as a starter. I think those two will be battling back and forth I think Chris took tremendous advantage of the opportunity he was given when Troy was nicked up going into week 1, and he hasn't looked back. And that's a really, really strong battle going on right there. Played well, played hard. He gives every ounce he has in the run game as well, throws his body around, was on point mentally. His route running was real good. And he's hungry. He's hungry for more. So those guys will keep battling for playing time, but they both get plenty of snaps. They may have gotten almost, I'd say maybe 60 to 40% of the snaps.
Coach, a player that really stood out in that game was DJ Johnson, obviously with a huge first down catch and then the game-winning sack as well. How special is that in your eyes to be able to play on both sides of the ball and impact the game on both sides of the ball the way he did?
Tremendous impact, completely unselfish player. You have to invest a lot of time to be able to do that during the course of a game. It's easy to talk about being a two-way player, but being a two-way player is one of the most challenging things you could do as a football player. And I don't think his blocking got enough credit. If you see him on some of the other plays where he didn't get the ball, or where he didn't make a sack, the guy was throwing his body around, being really physical at the point of attack, on the backside of split zone, front side of it. Protections as well. He really played an excellent game, and he's another guy. He just kept coming and coming and coming. So really appreciative of him. He was one of the players of the game for us.
Coach, Justin and Kayvon make the trip but don't play. Was it a chance either of them could have played on Saturday? And what are you thinking about this weekend? And Mace Funa, we haven't asked about her, heard an update on him. I don't think he returned on Saturday.
Justin, we found out midweek that he wasn't going to be able to, but there's really no advantage in giving out information like that. And we respect the privacy of our football players. And in the building is always confidentiality with that medical stuff. With Kayvon, he's getting better and better. You just don't know. Those things they're a little bit tricky. We thought there might have been a chance, but felt that it just wasn't quite time yet. Mace and a bunch of other guys, they got nicked up. They got dinged up pretty good, but confident that Mace is good to go and will be okay.
Coach, I was wondering, now you've had a chance to take a look at the film. Were there any standout performances that you saw on film that maybe you didn't see game day?
Yeah, there's guys that I think are really worth mentioning. I'll start with the offense. Two guys that really stood out with physicality and consistency and performance: Alex Forsythe, TJ Bass. Those guys just played with great pad level, great technique, were physical all day. To rush for that many yards against a defense like that on the road with all that noise, outstanding. Just a great job by those guys. Johnny Johnson, can't say enough about his blocking. There's one play in the game, he's got a 20-yard drive block. That's like a dream come true for an offensive lineman. So offensive linemen are jealous of Johnny today. He had the better block of all of them. Travis Dye, I know CJ got the bulk of the carries, but Travis, he had 43 yards. He had the catch. He had the touchdown, ran physical as well. I can't say enough about his blocking also in the passing game. I don't know if you noticed watching the game, but the pocket was a lot more comfortable for the quarterback. It was a lot bigger and wider. There's a lot less penetration. So tremendous improvement in that area. On defense, guys that really stood out, Braden Swinson, who really played his tail off, a guy that was relentless in his pass rush. Even though he didn't always get there, he did affect the quarterback. In the run game, did a really good job with his hands and striking blockers, getting off blocks, playing the C area, taking on tight ends and folding that run back. Keon Ware-Hudson really played well. He's credited with 3 tackles. Can't tell you how many times his block destruction showed up on tape, where he's playing with great lap pad level, knocking the line of scrimmage back. Did an excellent job. Nate Hukalani, who played, how many snaps did he play? Played 59 snaps and was on point where he needed to be. Forced the quarterback once out where they ended up trying the 4th down play deep in our red zone. And where Adrian Jackson then pressured the quarterback and he had to get rid of the ball. I thought he really stood out. And then Karsten Battles and Suave, they presented some challenges to our punt protection. And Suave did a great job checking us into a formation which we could take on that interior overload rush. Karsten Battles, our punt coverage was outstanding. And he's a big reason why. Not many snappers get down there and cover the field. He certainly did so. Those are some guys worth mentioning.
Mario, Joe used a lot of unbalanced formation with a lot of success. AB had the 18-yard run out of it before CJ's touchdown. You had the run by Travis that ended up being for 30 yards because of the face mask. And it came through on the final play also, well, the conversion to DJ. How can you speak to just the challenge that poses to a defense, because Joe's also done other things with covered receivers previously, and also the important, you mentioned Chris, on that play, for him to stay exactly 3 yards and execute at that level in that moment, how critical was that for a young receiver to make that block?
Yeah, well, unbalanced formations, the formations you use are predicated or dictated by what people play to them. We felt that we saw something formationally. They're a post safety operation, that there were some things there that if you block it effectively, like anything else, it works. If you don't block it effectively, but it wasn't like it was a massive formational advantage. You still have to gain leverage by your hat position, your hand placement. But the use of it certainly was effective for us, both in run and pass. And the fact that we were able to keep pretty decent balance with both of those, with the quarterback run game as well, some of the tight end dump passes, and then some of the work to the field as well to our wide receivers was really helpful. I think your second question was what, James?
That on the out of that formation, on the conversion to DJ at the end, that in previous attempts, the two outside receivers, including the covered receiver, block further downfield, but you're running. But Chris stays exactly 3 yards on the pass in order not to be called ineligible downfield.
Sure.
Just how critical was it for him to execute in that spot?
Yeah, well, that was the whole bit. Physicality is important and urgency is important, and playing with resiliency is important, but at the same time, you have to have game execution. And we knew that was going to be a big part of it. The focus was there, and the execution followed. So obviously very, very critical.
Yeah, Mario, can you maybe put into context just how effective that RPO game was? I don't know if you track anything of that nature, but it just seemed like that was pretty significant for your offense, being able to move the ball in the ways it went in attacking. And then follow up on Flo. Is he available later on in the season? Do you feel like he'll play, or is it a season-ending injury?
Well, I wish I could say on Flo what it's going to be. It's a pretty significant injury, so we don't know. Always hopeful, but it seems to be a little bit longer term than anything else. From an RPO, I think from an RPO standpoint, maybe even more important than that was first down efficiency. If you break it down truly by the law of averages, I believe we were almost at 5 yards a clip on first down. That keeps you on schedule. So it helps the RPO game. The RPO game, obviously, you want to create conflict, right? If you run 5, 6, or 7-man blocking scheme RPOs, they all put some different defender in conflict. And the combination of the unbalanced formations, some of the loaded sets and 12 personnel, the snug sets, which force you to open up and soften your coverage some, and sometimes bring corner, but they brought more corner fire than, maybe we had thought they would. And that was effective for them. That was our one negative play, was the backside of wide zone RPO was run down because the 3 technique beat the tack or beat the backside guard inside. But I think the combination of all those things and being able to stay on schedule on first down was really effective and allowed our offense to really open up, allowed Coach Moorhead to call a really, a great game plan, a great game.
Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach, meeting with the media. We've got more from his weekly press conference coming up. Continuing to look back at that big win over Ohio State. Getting ready for Stony Brook coming up on Saturday at 4:30. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
What's with Mountain Dew? Mountain Dew is like a zip line of incredible flavor directly into your brain. Mountain Dew is like getting punched in the mouth with pure neon refreshment that creates a neural explosion, sending flavor shards of electric brain pulses into your very core of being. Okay, maybe that's a little over the top, but you get the idea. The fact is, the mind-bending challenge of describing the taste of Mountain Dew is way harder than just experiencing it. That, of course, is easy. Just grab an ice cold dew, crack it open, and toss them back. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Let's hear more from Mario Cristobal, part 2 of his press conference previewing the 4:30 kickoff on Saturday against Stony Brook.
Coach, definitely a big win for you guys. How do you make sure that your team stays on their P's and Q's and carries that momentum forward?
Well, I think when you watch the film, even though we're really fired up about coming back 1-0 against the number 3 team in the country, we get it. Tough place to play. Been a huge goal. I know everyone was looking forward to that game for a long time, our fan base and everybody else. When we watch tape, there's a lot of stuff to correct. It's all over the place. And the bottom line, what's not good enough in defeat certainly cannot be good enough in victory as well. There's a ton. And, to us, it's like, all right, our approach to our week, our approach to our rests, our nutritional habits, our training habits, the way we practice, the way we approach this week will really determine if our trajectory points to us being a great football team or just being a good football team. Because it's real early in the season and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be corrected and a lot of things that we got to get better at. And the way we do things in our process, there's more than enough validation there to say that, hey, this thing works and we do things a certain way and that we got to get right back to work because there are a lot of good teams. We do have a significant amount of guys banged up and guys got to play. And guys have shown that going on the road in a tough place that had to step up for the first time that you can get it done as long as you invest your entire existence into it. I think all those things point towards we got to be more invested. We got to do things at a higher level. There's just no going back to any other way. We run a very tight, regimented process and we believe in it and it works for us. And there's no reason to stray from it. So we have exceptional team leadership. It has shown early and those guys are ready to crank it up. Those guys were texting and, telling each other, right, hey, back to work, want to know. We were at practice yesterday. A lot of sore bodies out there. That's a physical football game. And those words kept coming out. So now we got to show it, right? We got a chance to be in front of our fans again. Last time we were hot and cold in our opener, right, in front of our fans. We want to play well in front of our people, We know it's important to our community. We know it's important to our fan base. And it's sure as heck is important to us to play good football and keep improving because there's no in between. Like Coach Johnson used to tell us all the time when I was a player, you're going to get better or you're going to get worse. There is no staying the same. So the choice is, there is no choice. We've got to go get better.
Coach, someone you didn't mention earlier was Bennett Williams, who had another really good performance for you guys. What has his growth as a player really meant for your team, your defense, your secondary this year?
Yeah, I didn't mention Bennett because I thought you guys got the players of the game already. He was one of them. So Bennett Williams, DJ James, Verone McKinley, Brandon Dorlis, and Noah Sewell were all players of the game on defense. So if they weren't mentioned, that's my fault for assuming. Those guys played outstanding football games. On offense, it was C.J. Verdell, Anthony Brown, and Ryan Walk. Those guys were players of the game. On special teams, it was Cam Lewis, Brian Addison, and Johnny Johnson. So actually, the other guys I mentioned were guys that were just shy of the players of the game because we had to cut it off at a certain point, but guys that deserve special mention because they played at a high level. Bennett has been playing great football. Physicality, you see him tackle in space now. What he has done, the way he's improved, his ability to close on ball carriers, his man-to-man coverage skills and technique, his speed, his overall physicality. The guy's taken a massive step. And he's been a tremendous force on our defense. Really proud of him. I think he's another guy that's just scratching the surface. I'm going to stay on Bennett because I think there's a lot more in the tank there, but really proud of him and everything he's done.
What are you hoping to see this Saturday on your last non-conference game? And are these kind of games valued more after not having them last season?
Well, we're looking for improvement is what we're looking for. We certainly want to see us grow more as a team. With guys being a little bit nicked up and, not sure exactly what the injury report looks like at the end of the week, we want to see guys that step into more prominent roles perform at a high level, at a championship level. And it's important to us, but I think that's the most important thing, to see consistent improvement by our football team in all areas. Certainly we'd like to do nothing but keep taking steps forward. I guess it's the best way to say it.
Coach, how many days did DJ have practicing defense? Did he get any days doing that? And then another player, Jeffrey Boss, I think played some linebacker. He'd been the safety nickel kind of guy. How much time had he had there?
Well, number one, I got to mention that too. I'm glad you bring that up. Thank you. Jeff Bossa, he's a safety for us, and he's a size speed guy. Guy runs 10.7, 10.600 meters. Hope I'm not offending him. He might be a little bit faster, but he's 220 pounds, really just an excellent size, speed, athlete specimen. And when asked, it's like, hey man, we're a little bit low on numbers here. You're doing a great job on special teams. We really need help at linebacker. And a lot of it is similar to the boundary safety stuff. Would you mind, giving this a try? And then when the time is right and we have more depth, we can go back to safety. And he jumped all over it. He's been studying it night and day, and he had a good week. Towards the end of the week, he was really getting it. I think he played a couple snaps in the game. I'm not sure exactly the play count, but he's really getting it. He's a really good football player. He got the full week. DJ got third down work with the defense this past week, both Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, loaded days, right, with gear, and then Thursday, Friday, more of the walkthrough and the Fast Friday stuff. So we prepped them for their opportunities. Certainly I know DJ's really stood out because it was a final play of the game, but as you know, DJ has a defensive background. That's what he's played before. So it showed up on that last play. Brandon Dorless really, I don't know if you saw Brandon Buckner as well, just about forced a holding called. A lot of guys that, that really popped when it really came down to it. So big play.
Hey, Mario, with Keith Brown making his college debut in such a tough environment, I'm just wondering what you made of his performance. Yeah. And was that just a cramp he left with at the end?
Yeah, it was a cramp. He might have like a minor strain, but nothing of a large magnitude. He played well in physical and downhill, and it showed in camp. When he first got here in January, schematically and terminology, that's a lot for a freshman. And then by the end of spring, you're like, okay, he's starting to get it. In the middle of camp, you saw a guy that was really hitting it. Linebackers are like running backs. You could always train an offensive lineman. You could train a guy to block. Linebackers, particularly middle linebackers and running backs, they have to be natural. They have to have instincts. They have to have a feel for the game where they know how to, trigger and go make a play. And Keith has that. And Keith made a couple really impressive physical plays. And when he was blocked, he really fought hard to get off of blocks and run to the football. Did a really nice job. So we expect big things out of Keith Brown.
Mario, they hit you a couple times, like you mentioned, in tempo, but also at a 12 personnel until they had the false start that allowed you to make the sub there. I don't think Stony Brook will challenge you in quite the same way this week. So how do you try to go about making corrections to those things, particularly tempo, when it's been an issue the past 2 weeks? I guess in practice this week and really over the next 2 weeks before you get back to conference play.
Oh yeah, they caught us. And we don't need to be doing any when they're going tempo, your defensive calls have to match the tempo, and you can't match it with a wristband. That's a mistake by us. That we'll fix and move forward on, and you see it coming, and you have enough time to get it communicated. We just got to do a better job as a staff, all of us, to make sure that we get a play in quickly something that's very simple to understand, not a dissertation, like sound bites, right? Get those things in. Everyone sees it, communicate, line up, and go, because we gave up a couple shots.
That is something that the Ducks will want to improve on. Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach. When we come back, taking a look at volleyball and women's soccer, also golf from this weekend, and then a little more football as we wrap up Duck Insider next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back on Nugget Cider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill to wrap things up today. Oregon Volleyball swept a ranked Penn State team on Friday, and it wasn't close. 25-17, 25-21, 27-25. Then against Minnesota, a team that beat Stanford, Ducks lost in 5, a true 5-set thriller. Minnesota beat them 15-12 in that decisive 5th set. So the Ducks 1-1. We're going to talk with Matt Ulmer, the Oregon Volleyball head coach, on the show tomorrow. Women's soccer beat Texas 1-0 on the road Thursday, and then tied 2-2 against Baylor on Sunday. They're actually traveling back today. Ducks were 2 seconds away from a win, but a ricochet ball ended up going in for Baylor. And men's golf also in action this weekend as well. How about that? That's your Cafe M 2-minute drill to wrap things up. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just